Alright, hi guys, this is Brian from The Completionist 213. This is our first side video. We're having issues with our server, should be up in new episodes tomorrow. But I will place a couple of these videos up, playing a game that I really enjoyed, Thomas Was Alone. Fun little puzzle game, and let's just get started. For the most part, I'm going to leave it so that way that the narrator is able to be heard. I'm going to keep the music kind of low. We've been having a little bit of recording issues, but, you know, that's mainly my fault. So let's start this.
Thomas was alone. Wow. A weird first thought to have.
Alright, so basic puzzler, moving left to right, going through portals, I'm guessing. I mean, I've already played, so I know what they do. But, alright. Point 2. So this is just the basic tutorial.
Thomas decided to start listing his observations for posterity. 1. The whole alone thing. 2. Portals. They led somewhere. He'd yet to work out where. 3. Falling. Thomas was absolutely fantastic at falling. He was almost as good at falling as he was at observing.
Alright, so let's go through the next portal. So, yeah, these are pretty straightforward teaching lessons at the moment.
Okay, interesting. Thomas couldn't fall past this block. Think, damn it, think! What if there was some kind of inverted fall? Some way to... what's the word? Jump. It worked! Thomas had solved the great inverted fall mystery.
Inverted fall. Well, I like the lighting. I mean, I do find it silly that
big
simple
jump.
things are
But Thomas noted
so
there was no
fun.
real danger in missing it. The world didn't want him to fail here. It was pushing him, but gently.
Alright, that's point 4. And then we'll see if the little fuzzies are back. No, they're
This
not.
all seemed a little dangerous.
Bummer.
The world
So
was
yeah,
not
I
to
guess
be
I'm going to be
trusted.
playing without the little fuzzies.
Unstable, and it seemed to Thomas that it could let him down at any moment. He was starting to suspect it might even be doing so on purpose. Nah, paranoia.
So I'll have to figure out if there's a way for me to reset those. I could have swore there was, but maybe not.
Thomas wondered whether the portals were actually taking him anywhere. He felt like he was making progress, but there wasn't really any way to know. He seemed to be moving predominantly up and to the right, which might, or might not, be important.
So yeah, sorry about that for anybody that's watching it first time. There's little fuzzies in some of these maps that are like bonus little things that you can collect. And
It might have been paranoia
yeah,
again.
can't
But
show you
Thomas
those
could
for
have
some
sworn
reason.
the world was becoming more complicated. It always seemed to be one step ahead of his skills. It had been designed just for him. He wondered why. Was the world testing him? No. Too obvious.
These jumps are interesting.
Something about the boiling, toxic, glowing water
Oops.
intimidated Thomas. He didn't like it. He certainly didn't want to swim in it. He made another.
Oh, sorry about that. Completely skipped the narrator there. Oh well.
The loneliness was getting to Thomas. No amount of observation or obsessive note-taking could combat that.
How does a block take notes? I mean, I get that this is supposed to be some kind of AI program, but that seems silly. Oh well. I don't know. I enjoy this game. Very simple puzzle. I'll play through the whole thing, do a whole let's play of this, and hope everybody that does watch this enjoys. I would say that I got this on the Humble Bundle a while back, and I fell in love with it. Very simple, pretty short game. I beat it in about 4 hours. This time might not be that long.
Thomas had a new theory. The world was training him. he could feel himself getting smarter. There was the mental list to consider. Over the minutes and seconds since his spontaneous generation, he'd become a pretty skilled jumper. He was evolving. He just wished he had someone to share it with.
Tricky jumps, just because of the fact that the way that the world is loading, or the way everything's moving, but, oh yeah. Kinda love the music, you can't really hate it. It's sort of like, VVVVV. Just can't hate the music. It's so
Chris
good.
took an
so
immediate
nice.
and deep dislike to the skinny red rectangle. Who the hell did this Thomas think he was? Chris had been doing fine. He wasn't the highest jumper, but he'd held his own. He'd even been graceful at times. Well, not technically graceful, it's probably the wrong word, but you know, fine. There was that skinny little runt leaping about like he owned the place.
Oops. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it so that way you can hear the narrator. I'll just talk occasionally. Get Chris to the next section. It should be fine. I don't know. I just the game's fun. It's very simple. The puzzle elements later get difficult because of how many switching. The controls they're fine. They're very simple, easy to use. Anybody can play this game and enjoy it. Like I said, not very long, but that's not a bad thing. It's a unique little puzzle. I mean, perhaps not too unique, but it's enjoyable for what it is.
This was more like it. A glowy white thing. Only Chris could get to it, which of course made it all the more enticing. What would it do? What new opportunity might this switch open up to him? Grace. Another chance for Thomas to jump slightly higher than Chris. How fortunate. Seriously, this made the whole switch pressing thing entirely worthwhile. Was this good? Because on the surface, it did not seem good. Chris was pretty scared. Little Red seemed fine, happy to be on his merry little adventure.
Alright.
Chris couldn't shake the feeling that things had taken a significant turn for the worse since Thomas had joined him.
Sorry.
Sure, he'd been able to piggyback his way to ever so slightly higher platforms, but where had that got him? Well, to ever so slightly higher platforms, which was sort of his point.
Oh joy. The ever so distant things where I'm horrible at timing jumps. Of course. Nope. Take your time. And there we go. Alright, back to Chris. Who has smaller ones. Not moving as fast. You lose your momentum, but I don't know. I enjoy the game. I'm not sure what to say other than that. I mean, this is just me playing through. It's not like I'm a pro or anything on this sort of thing. So, do that. Alright, moving to more of the tutorial. Long tutorial, but very useful. Well, actually, are we
Chris
out?
stared at Thomas with pure hatred. He seemed so very happy at their situation. Friends together, a brave fellowship of quadrilaterals on a quest for greatness. That would be fine. But it was all the obvious observation that Thomas was doing which grated. Every time they saw something vaguely new, Chris would hear a satisfied little from the vaulting idiot. He hoped the next portal would split them up, if only for a few levels.
In other words, Chris is kind of a dick, but, I don't know. These puzzles aren't too hard. They're basic. I mean, basic, gets you to where you're going, teaching you the mechanics of the game and so forth. And oh, there we go. And jumping it. Alright. Moving to the next level. Bam. Didn't even see it.
John knew. He knew that this was his chance. A moment to shine. This was game day.
Ah, damn it, Chris. Yeah, the switching in this game is not exactly the best, probably because of the fact that I don't know how to do it correctly or efficiently enough. But it's whatever. I enjoy it. It's fine. It works for what it is. Probably doesn't help that I'm probably not doing it right, so it's all good. Because I know you can, I believe you can use 1 through 5.
This
1 through
would not do.
whatever
John
the
needed
amount of people
room
there
to
are in
show
this.
off his exceptional skills. As it was, he was trapped on the wrong side of these little dot things. Where did they come from, anyway?
So yeah, I think for now I'm just gonna play a bit and talk whenever I have a comment to make. So
John inhaled the
fine.
air of the
Please
open
enjoy.
space, and it smelled of awesome. Time to flex those muscles, to put his training to use, time to show those little dots how it was done. John decided to press the switch to let the little dots catch up with him. John cared for his new allies.
Oh,
You could
John,
tell
you're such a
from the
hero. Oh,
sympathetic
need a big guy,
expression he
little guy.
practiced in the mirror all these years.
Nothing better than just a blind guess as I jump down. John's the hell of a jumper, naturally. Jeez. Oh, I need John back here. Almost had it. Alright, there we go. And that's not phallic at all, jeez.
John was happy to keep helping. He felt it was important to his image that he was seen to help the little guys.
Alright. Oh, move these guys back. There we go. Alright, so there's that. Get this guy up. Oh, can't get him all the way up. Tiny adjustments. Always tiny adjustments. Just hang off the edge of John. Bam. Get them up there. Get John up there. There we go. Just little minor adjustments. No, I mean, oh, Thomas, come back. No, it's a fun little game. I'm enjoying it. Even second playthrough, good replay. But I mean, if you enjoy these sorts of things, there's a significant amount of replayability. I wouldn't say it's 100%. It's a good at least once playthrough sort of thing. A lot of fun. It's up there with me with simpler games, with simpler puzzle games. It's a lot of fun. I give it a pass. I give it a 9. Give it a good play. But I don't know. I think that I'll just stick to explaining or playing the game, and you guys can figure out what you think.
He didn't mind them so much either. The red one, Thomas, had a charming way of applauding every time John jumped.
Missed that damn jump. Come back! Come back! There we go.
The angry orange one was less immediately likeable, but his unremitting cynicism and tutting amused John. There we go. There you go. There's our first video, and A floating
I'll
target.
continue.
This
back
would
tomorrow.
require coordination,
The first two videos
balance,
should
and
actually be
timing.
together. We missed an episode yesterday.
John was
So,
sure the dots would be
I hope
lost,
you guys enjoyed.
but he
and
was
I'll
happy to
talk
guide
you
them to
tomorrow.
triumph.